Hi everybody, and welcome to day 4 of the Facebook Live Challenge. I'm super excited to be here and I can't wait to get into today's content with you. I'm seeing so many of you doing such an awesome job and showing up so powerfully in the group and following the homework to a T, and I just love so much to see all of you showing up. So well done for those of you who are joining in the homework, and those of you who are catching on the replay, make sure you pop in #replay. And if you miss one, it is not a problem. I'm going to be leaving these videos in the group for the next 14 days. So you've got a couple of weeks to catch up. But also you kind of want to catch your own momentum, don't you? You want to show up and then you want to make sure that you're showing action each day so that you can step yourself through this process and get yourself ready to run your own challenge or training series. Welcome. As you start arriving onto the video, please type in hi and let me know who you are and that you're here. And I've got my computer open next to me just so that I can see the comments, and we will get started because today we have heaps to cover. And I want to make sure that you guys are really clear on how to run your own challenge. It's Sam. Hey Sam, good to see you. We have covered the pre-work and the structure, and we've covered how to actually write the post to help invite people in and what you need to invite people in, which is exciting. So let's say you've got your traffic of people coming in and you're collecting emails, and then the day comes that you need to actually deliver content to them. How are you feeling currently? Just pop into the comments. Hey Kirsten, how are you feeling about bringing this information to your clients? Do you feel confident about stepping them through a process over your Facebook Lives? I would really like to know. What are you feeling as far as that process? Do you feel confident? Do you feel unsure? Or do you feel completely have no idea where to start? Let me know, where are you on that sort of continuum? Because that will help me know what sort of detail to go into today. I find that when we have structure, it's so easy for us to go in and fill in our own words what goes into our structure. And so that's what I'm running through today. Once you have your people into your Facebook challenge or into your training series, what on earth are you going to say to them? And how do you keep them engaged? And how do you basically feed their dopamine to keep them excited? Because that's what it's all about. Having a really good Facebook challenge and a good successful outcome for your people, it happens when you keep them engaged. And what keeps us engaged is our excitement. And that obviously, when we're talking neurotransmitters, it's a good dopamine feedback loop. It's way better than just showing up and scrolling on their screens. They're actually showing up with a purpose to get an expectation of a certain outcome. So my suggestion for you here. Okay, so Kirsten, you feel fairly confident. You like to sort of map out your content prior. Yeah, definitely. And this will help you for sure. So not that I'll be writing the content for you guys, but I'll give you a really good structure so that you can fill in those specific aspects for yourself. And once you have a good intention set around like what you're going to actually say each day, it's going to just flow off the tongue so easily for you. And once you've written it down, perfect. The best time to do this is super mode. You might be able to get it out in wild mode, but it's really good to capture your super mode. So when you start writing lists, you know that you're in super mode and you're going to get stuff like this done. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back to yesterday's video. I spoke about this in a bit of depth. And I will be covering this further in the future as well, in further trainings that I do. So let's say you've got your people coming in and you want to deliver your training, and on day 1, you need to set the context. Now, what I mean by this is you can't just start rambling on about all the different things that you want to talk about without giving them a context of how it fits in with them. So what really helps is for you to talk about a story of how it's been relevant in your life, or you might give a little case study of what has sparked your insight or sparked your inspiration to hold the particular event that you're holding. So you're basically tapping into the why. Like, why is everyone there? That's the context. So that's what you want to talk about on the first day. Why are we all here? Why are we meeting online to do a training? Why are we stepping through a 5-day series of trainings? Why are we doing this? So you're setting a context. People need a context because this will keep them engaged, and it helps qualify them to know that, oh yeah, this is actually the information that I signed up for. This is congruent with what I'm wanting. Great, I'm going to show up. So that's number one, give them the context. Number two, you want to make sure that you introduce the what. So first of all, context is your why, and then you want to introduce the what. So you're going to basically say, look, over the next 5 days, we're going to be covering this, 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 and this. And I want to keep this really simple and easy. This is like a basic introduction to your idea or what you want them to step through. And then by the end of it, you can expect and come back to your outcome or promise. So that's what you're really focused on that first day. Your why, your what, a few points towards the outcomes, and just make sure that you're really, really clear and keeping it simple for them. Now, what keeps people engaged is this. You want them to be able to have small wins along the way, but you want it to be not just any old win. You know, you're not just going to just get them to drink a glass of water, for example. That's probably not quite the win that they're wanting, but say you developed something in their homework that really makes them go, oh yeah, that is a habit that I want to bring in. So maybe it would be something like 3 minutes of deep breathing, that they set their timer and then they come back into the group and they say how they felt after they did their breathing. It could be something really, really simple like that. But you obviously make it specific to what you're focusing on. And this is the homework. You want them to show up for the homework. The reason why you want them to show up for the homework is they feel like they're winning. We want them to feel like they're winning. We want them to feel like they're achieving something. And we want them to actually do the thing that we want them to do. We want them to show action. Because once they start that momentum, they realize that they're feeling better. And you're the one delivering the information. And guess what? They associate you with feeling better. So see, it's very much a psychological thing. And yes, you can start really, really small and each day come up with just a tiny piece of homework for each person to do. And you've seen how I've stepped you guys through it. I feel that the type of homework that you're doing is going to help you gain momentum and get the outcome that we're wanting at the very end. And each of you are coming in and you're sharing your homework. So I'm like, okay, tick. I think that we're doing well here, right? So you want to do the same thing for your people as they're coming into your challenge. That's day one. So you're not technically going into any particular training on day one. You're setting up the context. You're framing up what you're going to be delivering for the next few days. You can still get them to do a little piece of homework though, just to get them engaged. Now on day two, this is where the training begins. So this is where you'll introduce your first theme or your first topic or whatever it is that you feel is the very first step that you want them to go through. Again, you want to make sure that you're engaging. You set them up with the context first, the what and the why. So keep reminding them what it is that they're here for and why they're doing it. And at the end, you want to make sure that you're giving them that training that is really, really valuable for them. But you don't have to overdo the education part. One thing that I really want to stress to you guys is make this about inspiration over education. They want to feel inspired. They want to feel like they're winning. They want to feel like they're putting you and feeling better together. So remember that. You don't need to overdo this. What you want to do is save that how piece for working with you. Or it might be part of your program that you're selling. Or it might be part of the package that they're going to buy into. Or whatever that thing is that you want to have the intention to invite people into at the end. So that's your day two. Day three is going to be just the second theme. It will be the second outcome that you'd like them to have or the second step of the journey that you'd like them to step on. Again, you're going to have a little piece of homework at the end. Ask them to come back in. Now, as you guys saw, I've given you an incentive. I have a prize that I'm actually handing out tomorrow. Gosh, this week has gone fast. And I'm really excited to give you guys the prize. And I'll announce what the prize is. The prize is a hot seat session with me. So you actually get me one-on-one, speaking about the thing that you want to speak about in your business. It's going to move you forward to that very next step like that. because this is where my zone of genius is. Often people come to me with their problem and they haven't thought about this thing that's sitting out here in their field that I can potentially see, bring it in, and they go, oh, that's exactly what I needed, thank you. And off they go. And they run with that, and then they do really, really well with that next first step. It's like, this is my zone of genius. It's seeing the things, connecting the dots, activating it in you, and you go ahead and you do it. So it's very much, you hang out with me, you end up showing action, but you also feel inspired as well, right? So that's always my intention, that you're feeling inspired and you feel like you're winning as well. So what we're doing right here is we're keeping that dopamine loop happening. So I'm giving you the inside info of how I'm approaching it so that you can do it too, because we're all going to have our different way of how we inspire our clients. And some of them will be inspired through education, but just don't think that that's the only thing that your gift is. Like, you have a lot to give. And again, coming back to your energy of how you're showing up, people are going to notice that and they will connect with your energy more so than any of the educational words that come out of your mouth. So remember, very, very important to feel in alignment with what you're delivering and what you feel you want to attract from with your clients, what you want to work on with them. So that's day one. Day two, they're coming in, they're putting their homework in, you're interacting with them, and you'll always notice there's a couple of people who are really, really into it. And this is where you want to make sure there's a particular side of marketing, you call it intimacy marketing. And you want to make sure that people feel held, they feel nurtured, and you want to make sure that you're showing up as your true self as well. So anything that you're typing in reply to what they're doing, be very intentional with your words of what you're saying. So I always try and time that for when I'm in sparkle mode, because that's when I'm so connected and present, ultra present to what I can feel from them and what I feel I can give to them. And so when I'm replying, there's a certain energy that comes in through that. So it's not just about the act of doing it. Yes, that's part of it, but there's an energy that comes in with it too. Try not to overthink it, because I know it sounds complicated, but it doesn't need to be complicated. Like, we just got to trust our instincts on this and really move with that. That's more what I'm trying to say to you guys. Now, day 4 is when you can give one more training. So you might have these 1, 2, 3 themes, outcomes, aspects that you want to talk about. And so you do a fairly similar thing, day 2, day 3, day 4, and you're delivering your content, you're asking for the homework. You might incentivize them that little bit more on your Thursday as well, so that you can make sure that on the Friday, that's when the prize gets handed out. And on Friday, and this is what I'll announce to you guys, you've got 24 hours to get all your homework done. And I'm going to come back in and make sure that whoever has their homework done, you're all going to get tagged into the prize post, and then we'll choose it at random. So it's really important that you get homework done today, you guys. And those playing the catch-up, you've got 24 hours. I know that you can do this. It's super excited, and to see the momentum that happens once you know that you've only got 24 hours is incredible. There is so much that you can create in this time. So what I want you to do is to have a think about, all right, I know the 3 outcomes that I want my people to have. Write those down, jot them down next to a dot point each. And then you can have your little point that comes out from that. Like, what will the homework be so that they're stepping closer to that outcome? Something easy. What is something easy that's not going to take them longer than 30 minutes to do? In fact, it'd be even better if it was less than 5 minutes, particularly if you're dealing with people who are stressed or busy. Have a think about that. Write that down. And then have a think about, all right, so if somebody were to win a prize, what would be a really cool prize that you could give them, that you'd want to give them? I've had lots of different ideas of what the prize would be, but I feel like for where a lot of you guys are at, I feel like a hot seat session with me would just help spark that next big step for the next person. And I'm just so excited to give that. And so that's what felt right for me. But there are so many other things that you guys could do. Like, maybe you could send out a flower essence to them. Maybe you could send out an affirmation card. Maybe you could send a crystal. Maybe you could send something else. It's something that is meaningful, and I feel like something tangible is also really, really handy as well. So if you want to do that, do that. Otherwise, if you wanted to bring somebody on the screen with you and get them to talk with you, that would be really cool as well. So it just really depends on what you feel your audience is going to get the most out of, and you can gauge this because you're listening to what their questions are during the training, and you can also see how fast people are moving along the journey that you wish for them to move along. How's this going for everyone? All right, Kirsten. It's great the homework isn't really hard or long to do. It makes it more doable for everyone. Exactly, and that is my goal. That's exactly my goal. It's giving you tangible outcomes. So it's actually stepping you towards holding your own Facebook challenge. It's giving you all the, like, an oodle amount of information in the actual training, but then to actually apply it, oh my gosh, on a daily basis, like, you're going to feel so much more confident by the end of this training. And that's what I always want practitioners to feel. I always want you ladies to go, all right, I can do this. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my live and I'm going to train them on this, and this is the outcome that I want them to have. And when you're so clear and have that clarity, what comes out through your mouth is something completely different to if you just wrote it down and then left it there for a while and then came back to it and we're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. You know, we can overcomplicate it in our heads, and it just doesn't need to be complex like that. Sam, you've got lots of ideas now. You've decided to own it. Yes, and talk from your own past experience. Though you'll start with some tracking charts and a live in your group about your past. That is so brave, and I'm so happy to hear this, Sam, because you don't have to overcomplicate that. Like, you already know your story, so it's something that you could easily draw upon, and the people who are going to hear that are going to feel that in their hearts, and they're going to connect with you big time. And it's such important work that you do, Sam, so I'm so happy to hear that. Well done. That's a really big one, really big. How about everybody else? Tell me, is there anything going on with the type of content that you're creating for your Facebook challenge? Are you having any challenges about it? Because I know that all of you are extremely qualified and you all know what you're talking about. Do you feel like you can distill that information down so it is nice and simple for people? Because I know on a daily basis you're talking about it. So how do you speak about it then, and how can you just bring that into a challenge? How do you turn that into homework without it being complex? Does anyone have any questions around that? So there's your 5 days mapped out, right? So that's not where it ends because you don't just want to do a challenge and then do nothing with it. Your challenge is always one of the front end things. So your front end is actually all of the socials that you're posting at all times. Then you invite them in, they come into your challenge. And then what happens after they've been in your challenge? They are jazzed. They're like, wow, this is such good information. I'm so excited about it. And some people are going to ask you for more information about how they can work with you. What are you offering? Have you considered what you're actually going to offer? I'd love to know what your offers are going to be. Oh, Beck, totally. I get it. Overgiver. I think we're all kind of, anybody else an overgiver? I definitely can relate to that for sure. And the sooner we realize that we're overgiving, and do you know what? Overgiving is actually a sign that we're overcomplicating it as well. So see if you can go, all right, what I really want to give is all of this. Now, how do I simplify that? Because people are going to get so much more when it's those tiny bite-sized pieces of information. And to us, we're like, oh my gosh, is that too simple? Too simple is a good thing in a Facebook challenge. So please, please, please focus on that. Yes, definitely, Sam. I think anyone who tends to be empathic, which is pretty much every healer, right? We tend to be overgivers. Absolutely. Okay, so Rach, you're overcomplicating it. Give us some ideas of homework for the gut. I'm thinking to start with a food symptom diary for 1 day. Okay, so Rach, just tell me what your outcomes you want your outcomes for your people to be. Tell me that again. Because with the homework, you want your homework to help them reach an outcome. So, for example, The first day, I got you all to set your intentions and to figure out what outcomes you wanted to have for your clients. And what would your promise be? So basically, you're starting to frame up what your challenge would be about. So that was my homework for you guys on day 1. So for your first outcome, Rach, for people with their gut health, what would be the first thing? So if they're doing a gut symptom diary, this is like uncovering the fact that they know there's a problem. Would that be the first outcome, to uncover something? Or day 1 homework for someone who is doing something to do with their gut, I think the overhaul thing's probably a really good idea, because we know how bad their gut is, but they don't necessarily realize. That guzzling down a big cup of milk with their, cereal in the morning is the reason. They don't realize it's the reason why they're feeling nauseous when they're getting to work. There's lots of little things that you could help uncover in your training once you get to it. If you do get them to do that, I think that's a really good day 1. Great. So I think that's a perfect day 1. Get them to connect to their bodies and see the problem. Absolutely. And you could also think outside of the square with that, Rach. And, the day 1 homework is to firstly uncover what it is. What the heck are they eating? Because it's so complex, right? They could have any number of things in a day. Some people don't even realize that they're eating when they eat because they're not connected to their bodies. And so this is a big thing. It's helping them connect to that. And then what would day 2 homework be? If you've got them to connect, now once they're in their body, what do you want to bring now? What's the next step? What's the next logical step that you're holding the hand and you're stepping them into that direction of the bigger outcome? So what's the next thing? I'm not sure if this is the right way, says Beck. Is there even such a thing? But my homework is actually based on the next day's challenge, so they can't tell me what they think I want to see. Okay, hang on. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that. Homework is based on the next day's challenge. Oh, so the next day's training, do you mean? Can you explain that a bit more for me, Beck? So they can't tell me what they think I want to see. Right, yes, now I think I get what you mean. So it's a bit like you get them to say something because you're going to train them on it the next day, and you don't want them to say the thing that is right. Is that right? I think that's what you mean. Took me a bit to consume that. Okay, good. My brain. I'm like, her? Okay, cool. No, that's good. I like that, Beck. That's actually really clever. So long as it's not going to overcomplicate things. So yeah, keep it nice and simple. And so long as it's simple and it's helping them step into it, and then they're going to have these massive aha moments, I think that'll be really, really magical for them. So yeah, I love that idea. Does anyone else have any ideas they want to put out there? So your day 2 is about sleep, but on day 1, you ask them to do some homework based on sleep. Perfect. So it's kind of like the uncovering happens, and then you talk about that because they've said, oh yeah, well, this is how mine is, without realizing what's right or what's wrong. Got it. I think it's brilliant. And same goes for you, Rach. Take that approach, because I think the more people get into their bodies and they're aware of what's actually happening, the more you can train them on the fact that it's not normal. Just because that happens to people doesn't mean it's normal, right? Perfect. I think you guys are doing awesome. Beck, day 1 homework is to see their sleep routine 2 hours. Yeah, perfect. And to just like document that. Great. Good old make up your own sleep hygiene. So the ones who already are aware of it, they'll be able to write that stuff down. But the ones who aren't aware, who have got all the lights going and all the TVs and screens and all the things going, you'll be able to highlight all of that. That is brilliant. Love it. Great idea. So hopefully this is helping bring forth more ideas for all of you, what types of homework you would bring into your particular training series. And just, if you feel like you're overcomplicating it, share it into the comments and I can help you with it. It's no problem at all. And like Beck said, there's no right and wrong answers here. And if you're approaching your Facebook challenge as, this is just an opportunity for you to find out more about your audience, to find out where they're at, to find out how you can help them, and to see it more so as an experiment rather than a be-all end-all, it just takes the pressure off you. So just show up as your best self, do your best, collect the data that you can collect, and then utilize that as best you can in your offering. So it's really important. I'm going to circle back to the offering now. It's really important to have something to offer them at the end. So for some of you, you're wanting more one-on-one clients, you want to build your clinic, you want to get more people literally just coming in and seeing you. Perfection. A Facebook challenge will do that because they're getting to know you, they get to trust you, and they actually get really, really valuable information that they can utilize straight away, which is tangible, that they can see results, and therefore they're more likely to book in with you. So what's really common by the end of a challenge is to offer 15-minute calls, like a discovery call. Has everybody done a discovery call before? Let me know. I would love to know if you've all been doing discovery calls. Is there anyone who is unsure about discovery calls? Let me know, because if you need a bit of a script of how to do it, I can help you out with that. I have my own way of doing discovery calls, and it's a way of you discovering more about your people as well. So it doesn't actually mean that you're always trying to sell people something. It's literally just seeing, are you guys a match? Is what you have to offer exactly what this person is looking for? Perfect. Well, then you're ready to work with each other. If not, that's completely okay. At least they've stepped through the process, and then they go, you know what, I'm going to just do this for a bit. That's absolutely nothing to do with you. Maybe your offer for that particular person at that particular time wasn't right, and that is A-okay. I always say, whenever you've got an offer, it's like holding a banquet. So the table is out here and you're over here. So what somebody chooses off the table has nothing to do with you. There's a big thing, like don't put your self-worth on the amount of people who you're seeing in clinic or the amount of people who are buying your offers. It's really, really important that you keep that self-worth for you, because it's already there, you're already worthy, and you have your offerings on the table, and it's completely up to them to make their own decision. But what you can do in that process is, let's say that somebody does have an objection for whatever reason, you note that down so that you can cover that and come up with a way to make sure that that person feels held and nurtured and safe to make a decision. Sometimes people don't feel right making a decision right away, and that's okay too. A lot of people need some thinking time, so let them think. They don't need, and then you're going to have the people who are more than ready. Like they don't even need the discovery call, and they're just like, book me in now, lady, let's do it. So there's going to be people that you need to step through the process in a fast way and some in a slow way, and everything is okay. And everything has nothing to do with you. It's a big, big part of this, all right? Okay, so Beck has done them. Sam's starting to do them. Kirsten hasn't done any, and Rach hasn't done any. Okay, cool. So would it be helpful for you guys if I gave you a bit of a template of what to work on when you're doing discovery calls? I feel like the discovery call thing is just basically, it's you holding space, but you also need to frame it up. You need to give the context of the call. So you need to, basically, once you're on the call with them, this isn't a call for prescriptive advice. Start straight up with that. This is a call to discover what it is that you're needing. And if I can help you, I'll definitely let you know. How does that sound? Like you just frame up the purpose of the call. When shall we start signing peeps up and putting them in the Facebook group? I'll come back to that, Sam. So once you've got them on, so when you're doing the call, then you're going to start talking to them. Some people are going to want to delve right into their story, and it's really important that you just ask the questions that are absolutely necessary to find out what it is they've got going on, and are they a match for what you've got to offer. So you let them say their thing for about 5 minutes, and then you talk for a few minutes and you give them the offer. That's all it needs to be. I can type this up at the end, by the way. There doesn't need to be any sort of expectation on either person's behalf either. And if somebody's been through a Facebook challenge, for example, you might have a special offer for them. You know, it might be a percentage offer. It might be a bonus that they get when they sign up. It might be extra time with you. have a think about what it is that they might get, because they've already done so much of the work, haven't they? Obviously, your Facebook challenge is going to be in alignment with the thing that you're going to offer them at the end. So think about how they all fit together. The big thing with discovery calls that I know with the overgivers, they tend to overgive. And yeah, I've heard of some disasters where it just turns into a consult, but then the person, like the practitioner, doesn't get paid, and the person gets everything that they need and they walk away with it. And so do not do that. That's what's not to do. I will write this up for you guys. Some do's and don'ts and what to make sure that you say. Just so you're framing it up, keep it really short and simple. And if it's a match, then you invite them in. Perfectly fine. So when shall you start signing people up and putting them in a Facebook group? So it's, I covered that part yesterday, Sam. In the 3 weeks leading up to your challenge, that's when you're doing all of those really specific posts. And you would start calling them in probably like 10 days out. But just keep in... Looks like you're in my head. Well, that's good, Beck. You want to make sure that you're keeping the content relevant inside the group. So I guess my answer to that is it depends on how much content you want to have as like the pre-work or the pre-launch stuff, or the, keeping them engaged in the group prior to actually starting the training. So some people won't invite them into the group till like a couple of days before, others a couple of weeks before. So my suggestion, Sam, is to really tune into what's your capacity to hold space for these people. Is it only a week? In which case you would probably only let them in a couple of days before, but I'd say up to 10 days. That's my suggestion. How does that feel for you? Let me know. And Beck, I think as far as the discovery calls are concerned, I know that you're getting conversions, but I also know that you really know your stuff. And so what you could also potentially do is when people are calling you and you know that you can help them, you can put their mind at ease to let them know that you've worked with people just like them before and you've had XYZ results. And they might get intrigued with, well, how did you do that? And what tests did you order? And how much are the tests? And this, that, and the other, because I've had these questions, right? And you just go, look, it's very much individualized and we need to go through this in the consult. So here's my next available. I just straight away, when I'm on a discovery call, I will assume that they're ready to work with me. 85, not 80, I'd even say 95% of the time, they're already ready. They just wanted to have a quick chat with you. And so it's safe to assume that they're ready to work with you. So offer them, this is your offer. You offer them, here's the next available space. Or you have space in your program and this is the date that it starts. Would you like to go on payment plan or to pay up front, it's X amount dollars. And you just put it on the buffet table. See how they go. Which would they like? So this is the way to step them through that process. And again, hold it lightly. You don't need to feel super emotional about it, even though I know that those emotions can come up when we feel nervous or if we feel pressured to make the money that's going to come in through new clients or anything like that. But try your best to maintain your composure during those calls. And trust me, the first call always feels like a train wreck, and then you just get used to it. It's just like talking to anybody else. You might feel completely at ease speaking with another prep mum. Let's say you had a preppy at school. You might feel completely okay chatting with her, but then the moment you get somebody on the phone, it's completely different. It's just how do you maintain your own composure in your own body? Again, don't overcomplicate it in your head. Get back into your body, and then you just trust that what you say is exactly what they need to hear. And here's the thing. This is one of my favorite sayings. Anything that's meant for you will never pass you by. Because if it's meant for you, it will be right there ready for you. It will always be received. You'll always get what you need. So with that, you can innately trust what's happening for you. You can so trust what's happening for you. How does that land for you guys? All right, cool. So when I hop off this call, I've got to jump off now and do a training in another group. Busy morning this morning with trainings. I will type up for you guys the template for the discovery calls. And what is your homework today? Your homework is, actually there's no homework. I want everybody to catch up. So you've got 24 hours to get your day 1, day 2, day 3 homework in. Tag me in them. Make sure you've got them all in because you're going to be in the running for the prize tomorrow. And I'm so excited to share this prize with you guys. And in order to be in the running for this prize, you have to have done all your homework, okay? Great. Awesome. Thanks, Sam. And thank you, Beck, and thank you, Rach, and thank you, Kirsten, and thank you, everybody who else is watching and probably just listening in. And thank you all for watching the replay as well. So I can't wait to see you all tomorrow and have a really awesome day. Thanks, everyone.